Hello, I'm Amanda,
And I'm Mack,
and welcome to iCube After Hours. Are you clocked out?
because we sure are.
So join us as we dive into what it is we do here at iCube. Mac, what is it we do at iCube?
Well, Amanda, not many people really know, and that's why we have this podcast. We want to shine light on what our department does and how we do it.
Join us as we sit down with our fellow innovators and iCube team members. What time is it?
It's 4:31.
No, it's time to get started. Today we have Sydney Bever. Hello. Kaiser. Yes, that's exciting. Do you go by Sydney Bever or Kaiser in your classroom?
I told them to call me Sydney.
Oh, well, that
Covers both pearls.
Keeping it
does
light.
Yeah. I miss the beaver of it all, you know?
Me too.
So you work with us.
I do.
In iCube. We should start at the beginning. How did you get there? How are you with us today?
Well, Amanda and Mac, as you know, I was in Kevin Liska, his advertising class, and I wrote a jingle. Might be annoying to some, but it was weird enough to get Kevin's attention. And it was about scooter safety. Bird scooters, lime scooters were becoming an issue in big cities like Nashville. They still are an issue. But I wrote a jingle. I think you guys heard about it. Who is this person that wrote this jingle? I come in, and the next thing I know, I'm given a project about banking and getting students excited about banking. And we ended up using my last name to get students excited about banking.
Kaiser?
Beaver, look like you give a damn.
And that was voted by Kevin's class, right? Didn't we test it in his class?
Yes.
There was all these names, and they picked it not knowing the inspiration.
Yes, and some might not know that beavers are one of the most hardworking animals. Those dams don't build themselves.
That banking project was a pretty big project. That was for the State Banking Association, TBA?
The Tennessee Bankers Association. Yes, but due to COVID, it had some complications. So I had to be housed somewhere else, and that's when I got started with more involved with the traffic safety media. I started working under the previous media buyer and learning all the ins and outs, and I eventually got the opportunity to take that over, and that is currently what I'm doing now, and I love it.
Did you ever know you would did you look forward to being a media buyer one day?
I knew I wanted to be more in the advertising sector. It's different than I thought. It's a lot of communication, working with vendors. I'm very much a people person. So it's maintaining relationship with all of these people that you're purchasing media from. And it's exciting because it is something new every day. The media world is constantly changing. There's always a new digital product out to learn about, to try. It is new, exciting, also creepy. We've all been served ads where you're like, how the heck did they know to serve that to me? And we're doing that as well. We're some of the creepy ads.
The magic formula behind.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is a great time to talk about who the ads are generally targeted at.
So we do about, just to give a generalized background, we do about 10 to 12 paid campaigns a year, various topics: motorcycle safety, pedestrian safety, alcohol. Most people know it as booze it and lose it, click it or ticket for seatbelt or occupant protection, distracted driving. But our primary target market are males 18 to 34 or males 21 to 44, depending on the topic. But yeah.
And that's based on traffic safety data.
Yes, so all of our campaigns are based on crash data. We identify 10 to 12 high-risk counties that are most at risk for the fatalities, the crashes. We have a budget. We follow the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's communications calendar. Our bigger campaigns are Labor Day, which is an alcohol campaign, Christmas, which is an alcohol campaign, Then we do a big Click It or Ticket campaign in end of May, early June. So we're responsible for not only purchasing the media that we're putting out there, setting up the Spotify campaign, setting up Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, you name it, we're doing it, except for TikTok. But creating the assets that go along with that as well. So any of the paid social media, we're creating the graphics, we're writing the radio ads, we're editing the radio ads. If you see a billboard, that's us as well. We do in-bar ads. Right now we have a Labor Day campaign running, Don't End Summer with a Bad Decision. Booze it and lose it. We have coasters inside bars, posters. So that's fun, getting to experiment with all different types of media and tactics. Yeah.
It sounds very strategic. So when we at home see these ads, it's not just random whims that you think, oh, this would be a good time to do this. It's all based on data as to when crashes occur the most, and then you try to identify those risks.
Yes. So Labor Day is a big drinking holiday, so that's one of the big three, as we call it. People are going on the lake. It's the end of summer, going out with a bang. Christmas into New Year's is another big drinking holiday, as well as Thanksgiving, but we try to focus on seatbelt for Thanksgiving. I feel like a lot of people travel for Thanksgiving, so they're in the car, on the road, reminding them to buckle up. So we do a big radio campaign for Thanksgiving. So we definitely still see a need for that traditional type of marketing, like billboards, radio, broadcast TV, cable TV, as well. I mean, mixing that with the newer digital. I mean, everything's digital now.
I've seen where you've even put stickers on like ice machines.
Oh.
So people going out to drink are going to get ice. So.
Exactly, at gas stations, the ice box wraps is what we call those. But
yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Great creative way to reach them. So right now, you say Labor Day is the next one that's coming up, or?
Labor Day is started August 16th and runs through September 4th, which is Labor Day. And then October is Pedestrian Safety Awareness Month. And we're doing a big out-of-home push in Nashville and Memphis. We actually do bus wraps, like Metro Transit, like bus wraps. Benches have our advertising on them, billboards, and then November's Thanksgiving, and then Christmas will be an alcohol campaign.
So out of home is things that are non-digital in the physical world?
Yes. So out of home would be like in-bar, billboards, gas station, transit, more traditional print type mediums that you would not get served in your household.
And a lot of these are, you're making a lot of the content to go with it, but it kind of starts with NHTSA a lot of the time, right?
So one thing that we pride ourselves on is saving a lot of money in the way we do advertising. So we're not producing a lot of our own commercials. That would be something that we would love to do more of in the future if funds allow. So right now we primarily retag our commercials from NHTSA, or we look at other states' materials and we'll retag those if we think it can fit the parameters of our state. But as far as the graphics and the supporting digital banner ads and the radio spot, we get the opportunity to create all of those in-house. So that's, and obviously a commercial would be the most expensive thing to create. So, but speaking of commercials, we are in the process right now of creating a Fans Don't Let Fans Drive Drunk animated commercial that we're really excited about. We haven't had a new commercial for that in the last 3 years. So yeah, we're excited to roll that out. I don't want to say too much about it, but it has been fun. The creative process behind that, meeting with an animation studio, doesn't feel real.
If that goes through and finishes on time, when will we be seeing that?
We're hoping for the very start of football season, fingers crossed. So that is with we also help with the creation of the materials needed for the sports contracts that the Tennessee Highway Safety Office has. So the Fans Let Fans Drive Drunk message can be found in Nissan Stadium for Titans games, Bridgestone Arena, you'll see at Preds games. And it doesn't only mean sports, so like an event you might go to at Ascend. Fans can also mean, concerts, any type of large event like that, just trying to get out the message. Don't drive drunk. Have a designated driver. Plan before you celebrate.
That's awesome. Speaking of costs, that's one thing you mentioned in a meeting a long time ago that I thought was really cool, is that when you save money, it doesn't, make the budget lower for the end of the year. It just means you can leverage that money to reach more people. I think that's really great. It's a different way of thinking about spending money, where you're trying to get things to cost less so that you can do more.
Right.
So
reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had some students from Tech be able to work with you a little bit on this project?
Yeah, so we have a student who, so I'm more of the creative brain, not numbers based. So it is great when you get a student in there that can complement you in that way, that does everything that you don't have the capabilities or necessarily want to do. And sometimes they teach you things. So we had a student who came in and figured out for us something we struggle with is, we're not selling anything. We are trying to change people's behavior, promote behavior change, bring awareness to these issues. So how do you measure that success? If anyone knows, let me know. So, we get reporting when a campaign is done with impressions, the click-through rates, how many people clicked on our ad, our view-through rate, video completion rate, how many people did this ad actually reach? And yes, impressions are great. We got 1 million impressions. How many people are actually changing their behavior from seeing that ad? And so that's something, we're still in the process of trying to figure out. But this intern did create a barometer that we were able to use when selecting vendors, kind of set a standard for the average click-through rate that we found acceptable for different tactics, the standard for a video completion rate that we were able to say, hey, after a campaign ended, this vendor fell here on the barometer. They were in the red, or they were in the green, or this is why. It was easier to identify what went wrong and do we want to use them in the future, and kind of how they compared to past campaigns. And so that's been very helpful and definitely a step in the right direction with what we would like to figure out.
It is really amazing how data-driven everything you do is, and how much data you work with, down to crash reports to fatality reports for years past. And I mean, like you said, it's hard to measure the difference it makes when the trend line's going one way versus a national average versus state trends. So really impressive that you're able to use all of that. And you say you're not good at numbers, but I know you do a pretty good job.
And you're teaching, right? So on top of all this,
I am teaching a digital marketing class on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1:30 to 2:45. But really, it's a chance to kind of give students an opportunity to get more hands-on, real-life experience, and it helps me as well to get their perspective on creative that we're putting out. I'm standing in front of our target market. I might as well get their opinion. I just got back from a conference, and the youth is the future. If we don't give them a seat at the table to give their opinion about things, what do we know? Like,
right,
yeah,
right.
It goes into that culture change thing that we were talking about, where eventually what they think is normal is going to be completely different than the world we're in. So
and I think
hopefully
that's
it's better.
One thing that's great about our office is giving students the chance to use their voice and, again, have a seat at the table to give their input. And like I said, I mean, a lot of times we learn things from them. I mean, we're getting older. We don't always know all of the hip trends or lingo. So I think they keep us young and on our toes.
And that's like what Kevin is always about.
Yes.
Like, he teaches, you teach. He's like pulling any student we possibly can from these classes. And that's how we met you.
Yeah.
It has worked out. I'm not saying it hasn't. But
I do kind of copy Kevin's teaching style a little bit. He was one of the best classes I ever had. And so I want to emulate that to my students as well. So
For people at
That's
home,
cool.
Kevin's sort of enigmatic because everybody's talked about their stories with him so
Yeah.
far, but he hasn't been on with us yet. So it'll be exciting when he finally comes on and everybody gets to meet him. So
yeah.
it'll be something.
Yeah, it'll be something. That'll be fun. So you've added some tactics over the years that we weren't using before. Like, wasn't Spotify under your kind of tenure as this? I always thought tenure meant 10 years. It doesn't. Who knew? It means time, I guess. But I just remember thinking like, oh, yeah, podcast. Didn't we have a podcast discussion or something?
Oh, yes, we added, that was one of the first things I added onto a campaign. We had a podcast piece with iHeart. And then shortly after that, you were able to advertise to podcast listeners through Spotify, which is awesome. So anything we can set up ourselves, we love to do that. So Spotify, we don't have to go through a vendor. Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, and now Threads. We need to hop on the Threads train.
So iCube's a grant-funded office, and we do a lot of work with traffic safety, but the specific grant you're working on is a pretty big one.
Yeah, so I have the privilege with working on the paid media contract. We have a budget of about $1.2 million that gets spread across 10 to 12 different campaigns a year, with our biggest campaign being about $200,000. And they all come from different funding sources. So our biggest funding source is alcohol, next to occupant protection. And then we have a pool that we can use for distracted driving, pedestrian, anything that is not seatbelts or alcohol. So
It's one of the things I hope this podcast does is like put the Tennessee Tech face with like all these things. Like we had Daphne talking about Ollie Otter. Like I think a lot of people on campus don't know that the Otter started here.
right.
We talked about virtual reality with Waverly that people might know we do. But paid media is, I mean, you wouldn't think, oh, I saw the Booze It and Lose It sign. That's from Tennessee Tech in the library, like upstairs. Like I think that's interesting. That's cool.
I take it for granted sometimes. Like when you think about it, it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like to make a billboard and then it's like there. Like
Right.
I never thought that I would be doing that, but it's because I started here. And
You need like a display case of like tiny little billboards of
Yeah.
all the billboards you've put up, all the coasters, all the like flyers. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be cool to have.
it like a not a digital portfolio, but like a
Physical.
3D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool one,
Something
yeah.
tangible.
Yes, that'd be
Yeah.
fun. I kind of want to do it now.
Yeah.
That'd be
A little
neat.
diorama.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool.
So what's next? What's in your future?
So, stepping back just a little bit,
Sure.
something else that we kind of struggle with, I think, being in the field of trying to change people's behavior is what strategy works with reaching this target market. Is it pulling at their heartstrings? Is it a scare tactic? Is it making them laugh? Is it testimonials? Don't tell them what to do. They don't like to be told what to do. So you're hearing all these different things from all these different people saying they have research to back this up. We have research to back this up. And so I think kind of just finding our own way to reach Tennesseans and figuring out what works best for us. And maybe it's one strategy works best with alcohol, one strategy works better with distracted driving. And so I think just experimenting more is something that we need to do in the future. I would love to write more radio spots, and hopefully down the road, get to do more commercials, because I know we do have some great ideas on the back burner that I would love to bring to life if we had the opportunity.
And creating commercials seems a little bit more attainable than you would think.
Yeah.
Really. Like, obviously you could go like full big production, but it does seem like there are things you can accomplish with and make cool, like the one hopefully coming out in football season. So
Stay tuned.
I've learned a lot watching you do it, because I had no idea how to approach a studio to create something.
Fake it till you make it.
There you go. Yeah.
I think everybody's doing
Yeah.
that. Everybody. Not us. We know everything. But everybody else is doing that. Yeah.
So you started out as a marketing student, but you also got your MBA while you were working here too, right?
Yes. So I started interning in my senior year. And I had no plans to get my master's. I was going to get out of here, leave Cookeville, leave Tech, go back to Nashville, and then fell in love with everyone at the iCube and just couldn't leave. And they were like, if you stay, be a full-time employee, you can get your master's for free. And I was like, what? I didn't know that was a thing. And I was like, I want MBA behind my name. And it ended up being a great program, learned a lot. Definitely the next thing to do to reach that next point in your career. And even after that, I was like, after I get my MBA, I'll stick around for a little bit and then leave. And I'm still here. And and I'll be here as long as you'll have me
Forever.
at this point.
Yeah. Yes. Great. Did you know about iCube? Had you heard about iCube before your senior year?
I had seen it. I was one of those people that would study on the third floor of the library, which was the quiet floor, pull an all-nighter when you could stay here till the wee hours of the morning. But not until Kevin's class was when I really got to understand. And you guys came and talked to our class about, I think it was Tennessee Together.
Oh.
It
I
was,
remember that.
I don't either. That would have been a minute ago.
Yeah.
and I remember like being scared to like raise my hand and
No longer.
give my input.
Yeah, that's not an issue anymore.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's the iCube is one of those places people walk by and see the dinosaur and are intrigued, but they're intimidated to walk in and ask what it is. But hopefully.
That changes.
Yeah.
We're still trying to figure out what we do.
Yeah.
And it changes a lot. But
Yeah.
But that's why we're doing this, and we really appreciate you coming to the show today, because I was really excited to talk about your project specifically, because I just think it's so cool and in your face. It's so visible and public. Like, not everybody's going to the gym and seeing Ollie. Not everybody's putting on a headset, but everybody's driving down the road and seeing billboards in theory. But
Thank you.
I just think it's cool. Yeah. So thanks for
Thank you.
joining us at iCube After Hours.
Yes. Signing off.
Thank you for joining us today. This podcast was produced by Noah Mears in partnership with the Tennessee Tech Communications Department.
We hope you're leaving this episode with a brighter view on what iCube is and what our amazing team does.
Until next time, stay safe.